the posted agenda, so I'm switching A and B. So first will be a vote to appoint Patricia Gardner, Superintendent of Southbridge Public Schools, effective July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015. This is subject to successful contract negotiations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Condon makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Quinney. Before I open for discussion, I would just like to explain how, to the public's benefit, how we came to this agenda item this evening. As you know, the school committee is facing some extenuating circumstances. We had what we thought was a plan in place to retain Mr. Nemberko for the 2014-2015 school year. We were actively engaged in contract negotiations with the superintendent when he became ill. When he returned from his leave, he just notified us that he was unable to continue day-to-day operations. So we were faced with a very tight timeline, and our primary concern has been and continues to be stability, continuity, and providing a seamless transition for the district. In order to provide due diligence, I consulted with both the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. I was advised in no uncertain terms that it's really too late to conduct any type of search for the 2014-2015 school year, and that the potential superintendent candidates, the pool of potential superintendent candidates and even interim superintendents, due to the tight timeline, the timing of everything, is pretty thin. I was asked by both, well, I actually spoke to a total of probably 6 people, all of whom, one way or another, said, are there any internal candidates you might consider? I want to say that Ms. Gardner was an obvious choice. She has served as acting superintendent during Mr. Nemberko's leave of absence. She possesses superintendent licensure from the Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. She received her master's degree from Columbia College in South Carolina and is currently a doctoral candidate at American International College in Springfield. She has served the district as Director of Teaching and Learning since last August, and previously, she was a principal and vice principal for several Massachusetts communities. In addition to all that, she did serve as director of the Center for Teacher Education at Westfield State University. And with that, I will entertain more discussion on the motion. Mr. Olivo.
I would like to make a motion to amend that action to say interim superintendent.
Okay.
With that being said, I think that she is qualified to do the job. I know that it has been said that it is too late to start a search committee, and I understand that. But I do think that with the coming year that we will have to put a search committee together. And if we start to look at that now, I think it'd be great. And I absolutely welcome Ms. Gardner to apply for the position at that point as well. I think that stability is what is important, and nothing speaks to me louder than the students of this school district and the chaos and that has been in changing principals, in changing teachers, with teachers worrying about whether they're going to have jobs or not. I mean, their job is to teach our students, and I think that we as a district need to do our due diligence and really interview whatever candidates are out there with this upcoming year. I know that this district has been through the ringer, and everyone is apprehensive about the leadership. I mean, we're all in it for the same reason, and that is the education of our children. And with that goal in mind, I think that we should move forward in coming up with a search committee in the upcoming year as well.
Okay, so Mr. Olivo made a motion to amend the agenda item. Is there a second on that motion? There's no second on your motion, Mr. Olivo. The motion fails. Just for informational purposes, there is no, for the interim is not a legally defined term in Massachusetts. That's what the Mass Association of School Committee Executive Director conveyed to me. The interim is not a legally recognized term. Whether somebody's interim, acting, or superintendent, they bear all the powers of that office. So,
Understood. But on the website, Mass Association of School Committees, they have jobs posted right now for interim superintendency. In Oxford, in Belchertown has reopened it, and Millbury Public Schools, Douglas Public Schools. So whether it's not a word or whatever, they advertise the jobs on their website.
thank you. That motion failed. Is there any other discussion on the main agenda item? The vote to appoint? Mrs. Congdon?
Could we ask Mrs. Gardner some questions?
Sure. Ms. Gardner? Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Mrs. Congdon?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Ms. Gardner, I just wanted to know what goals you would have for yourself as superintendent for the district for the
Well,
year.
Thank you. Well, I think, unfortunately, we are level 4 and have an advanced improvement plan. But I think fortunately, we are level 4 and have an advanced improvement plan. I think the improvement plan is something that is the focus of all of us right now. As you know, as all of you know, Southbridge schools haven't just come under fire, been underperforming in the last year. It's been long going, more than 10 years. And I think now that we have formed a team in central office and we're hiring principals who will share the vision of what the AIP is to look at rigorous standards for students, is to look at professional development for teachers, it's to use data-driven instruction, and it's also to increase the participation of the community and to build the trust of the community. So I think the 4 standards of the Advanced Improvement Plan are the best plan that we can have moving forward.
Thank you. My other question was, why do you feel that you're qualified as a superintendent of the school district?
That's a great question. You know, I think people want to know that. I believe that I am qualified. I mean, first of all, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts says I am with a license, but, you know, and that's kind of flippant. I don't mean it such, but, you know, I am licensed. But besides that, I'm a lifelong educator. I love public schools. I'm a product of public schools. My whole family is a product of public schools. And for me, this has been a journey. I come from a background where my grandmother graduated from 8th grade and worked in a cotton mill her entire life. And I come from a family that valued education because of hard work that people in my family worked to get myself and my brothers and my cousins into college. So first of all, just from a very pure level, I love to see students achieve. And I think for me, I began my career as a high school English teacher and a coach, and I thought that I would be a college-level coach at some point in my life. And in another twist, I decided that the academic piece was much more important for me than coaching. And that was a hard decision when I was in my 20s. But as I grew as a teacher, I realized that there were other things that I wanted to do. And I love teaching, and I still consider myself a teacher at heart. But I moved into being a teacher coach, and then from there I moved into being an assistant principal, and then I moved into being a principal. And as you change seats in education, your view is so different. And sometimes when I listen to teachers talking about what they think or what they feel, I think, wow, sometimes I wish I was still sitting there and I had the autonomy that a classroom teacher has. But my goal has been to have input and to help school districts turn around. When I left South Carolina as a high school teacher, I left one of the top performing high schools in the country at the time, Sumter High School. It's an Air Force town. We had a lot of money. And I took a job in the public schools of Springfield. And it was an amazing experience for 11 years as a teacher and then as administrator in the Springfield schools. And especially there, I learned to love turnaround work. I love to work with students that needed the extra push up, that needed the extra support and the extra care of teachers and administrators who wanted them to succeed. And it's been a great journey. And so for me, coming to Southbridge, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that I've had this year as a director of teaching and learning. When I resigned from Turners Falls High School, we had turned it into a top high school in Massachusetts. And when I interviewed for this position and I had an opportunity to come work for a master superintendent, it was a humbling experience for me, and I certainly was looking forward to another year with Buzz. But when the opportunity arose for me to step up and take a leadership position in his absence when he was sick, I was very humbled, but I was very proud to do it in Southbridge. And so I think my time here this year, for the time that Buzz was out, I did my absolute best, and I think that we stayed above water, and I think we continued on the path that we had sought out this year. And I know that this job is going to be hard work and it's going to be long hours, but I'm here long hours, and most of you know that. Olivia Quinney knows my car. But I look forward to the challenge of working in this, and I think that my background as an English teacher, I think having worked in higher ed and seeing what students really need to get there and what students are like when they don't have it when they get there. And I also think that other things in my background in terms of helping students and helping them move forward will help. I was an athlete in college. I was a pretty good high school athlete, and again, I had an opportunity to play sports in college. So I think that I can take a look at a lot of different activities that help us help students stay in school. And I think my background in working with turnaround schools and working with diverse populations is something that I can bring to the table here. And I can say that I am very proud to work in Southbridge, and it hurts me sometimes when I hear people talk about Southbridge in a negative way, because I can tell you, in the schools that I've been in, we have some of the most amazing students that I've ever seen. I mean, I've been carrying boxes through the high school and have had young men asked to carry them for me, and you don't see that everywhere. So I think that we are going in a really good direction, and I think that we are making changes that are going to bring us to the forefront of education in the Commonwealth, and we're hiring wonderful people to go with the people who have stayed. I think there are so many teachers who have made commitments to this system, and I think we owe it to them to provide a working place that they want to be in, where they feel safe, where they know that they have a job tomorrow. And you know, we will continue to promote the best teachers and to look for the best teachers and to encourage those teachers who are struggling, because the students in this town deserve that, and that would be my pledge as superintendent.
Another question.
Sure.
How could the school committee help you with that?
I've said this before. Next year will be my 30th year in public education. I started teaching high school English when I was 21, and it's been an amazing journey. And having taught in different states and in different parts of the country, even not just different states, I think the school committee is extremely strong and extremely intelligent. And I'm not saying that. I say this behind your backs. I think the fact that you support education and that you all have backbones that many people could not have, I think that's what our students deserve. I think that's what this town deserves. And the support of any superintendent in this position needs brave people who put kids first. And I know that's hard, and I know that, you know, it makes going to the grocery store difficult sometimes, but, you know, I'm very proud of all of you that you stand up and that you do what is right for children. And I know putting me forward without a committee is difficult, and I appreciate the trust that you have in me, and I will absolutely do my best, whatever it takes, to continue us moving forward, because I know that you are behind the school system, and that's incredible. You don't find that many places. And as I've said, I've worked in a lot of different communities, and to have a school committee like this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance that all of us can move this district forward.
Thank you.
Just more of a comment.
Oh, sure.
I just wanted to state publicly that I am fully in support of appointing Ms. Gardner as superintendent of schools for 1 year. While the superintendent was out on leave, Ms. Gardner has stepped in and helped run the Southbridge Public Schools. She has expressed a desire to stay here long-term and is committed to taking this district from its underperforming status. During this year, my role and commitment to the community is to evaluate the job performance of the superintendent. I will work with my peers to help create this evaluation tool to measure Ms. Gardner's performance throughout the year. My role in not wanting to form a search committee is that I didn't want to waste the money in hiring a search committee when Ms. Gardner has already proved herself as a worthy candidate and has stepped in to run the school district when Superintendent Nemberko was out on medical leave. Our children do deserve the best, and at this time, I feel Ms. Gardner is the best candidate for this job. She has over a year experience in this district and understands the demographics of our community. Choosing the leader of our schools is a difficult one. The superintendent and school committee oversee a $25 million budget and provide education for the children of our community. Our community has suffered because of our schools. Many people have moved out of town, and even more people choose to send their children to other schools in different towns. I believe that by appointing Ms. Gardner, she can help continue to move the district to a top-performing one that we can be proud of. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm just going to stay over here for a minute. Mr. Lebo?
Through you, Madam Chair, Ms. Gardner, I agree with a lot of the visions that you have for this community and for this school district. For me, it's not personal. It really is about business, and it really is about the students and the faculty and the families of this school district. The expectations for you as superintendent, regardless of residency, you need to be present at anything and everything relating to this school district that you possibly can. You need to earn the trust and the respect of this community. This district has been through, again, the ringer, and I think you, as the superintendent, need to show your commitment to this community, to the children of this district, and you need to prove to us that we should keep you as the superintendent, or at least to me. I mean, just moving forward, like I said, it really is about the students, and really just trying to know that the person that we hire needs to be here, needs to have a thick skin, because this community is going to be there, and they're going to rip you to shreds for moving on without a committee and appointing you as the superintendent. It really does come down to it's about show now. So.
And thank you, and I agree with you. I mean, I could not agree with you more. I think if you take a look at my past record, when I have been a building administrator, I was ever present, and I think that in this new role that, you know, that's my intention. And I have pretty big shoulders, having been in administration for a number of years. But I also have accepted a job with this school committee. I have never done anything underhanded or undercut anyone to get this position. I have fulfilled my role to the absolute best of my ability. As I said, I wish Mr. Nemberko was staying for another year. We're extremely lucky that we had a true master superintendent here for a year, and you know, if he decided tomorrow that he wanted to come back for another year, I would gladly step back into my role of what it was. But with where we are going and with your support, I accept this position, and I will do it to the best of my ability. And when you, as Ms. Condon said, and thank you for your kind words, when you do my review, then, you know, I will accept whatever your decision is. I mean, obviously, because I will have no choice on one level, but as a professional adult, having been in education for a long time, I will accept that decision. But, you know, I like to win. I'm competitive, and I like to win. So for me, this is a situation of taking Southbridge somewhere good.
Thank you. On this side. Mrs. Donovan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Ms. Gardner. I do not have any questions for you. I don't have a written statement, but I do have some thoughts going around in my mind that I'd like to convey. The first is that we're in this situation, you know, that we're in, and my life's philosophy has always been that you cannot always change the direction that the wind is blowing, but what you can change is how you fix your sails. And that's how I look at where I'm at as a school committee member here. The wind is blowing all around me, and I'm in the situation where I have to make a decision, and that decision is based on what is best for the kids in every classroom, what is best for the administration in our district, what is best for the families of the kids in our classrooms, what is best for our faculty members, and what is best for our community as a whole. And there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you look at something like that. And for me, where we've been and where we need to go, consistency and stability is the number one or the number two, top two priorities for me, that you already know the players, you already know the system, you already know the AIP, you wrote it. You have proven to me personally what your work ethic entails. I think what you've done so far has been outstanding. You're invested in our system. You want to be here. I know from working with you that you will not tolerate low performance. And that is something that is very, very important to me. We have been hearing the cloud of doom hanging over our district for over 10 years. And I've learned personally that it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. You just don't switch around a couple of players and it magically changes. It is a long, tedious process that involves so many different people on so many different levels. But the way I look at it is we are moving forward. We're nowhere near where we were last year. And the only most logical place for us to go next is forward and upwards. And I have confidence in you that you will do your very best to move us in that direction. None of us know what the future will hold, but at this point in time, when I am sitting up here and need to adjust my sails, I want you to know that I fully support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Quinney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, but I did want to address the appointing of Ms. Gardner as the superintendent. I just looked up our policy, which I can't speak without reading, but was very familiar. As a district, it states that the district's goals is to employ and retain personnel who are motivated, will strive always to do their best, and are committed to providing the best educational environment for the children. And I think that statement is the embodiment of the work ethic and the person in her current role that Ms. Gardner has shown us over the past year. I think she's been invested in this district above and beyond what is required of her position. She has worked very diligently with the state to get an AIP in place that can move our district forward, that is centered around children and providing them with the best education that we can provide. She has articulated very clearly her desire to be in Southbridge, her pride in being a member of the Southbridge School District. I think right now we always seem to be in a point of transition, but I think that this is a tipping point. Consistency is what is essential. The AIP, DESE has said that that is one of our biggest challenges that we need to overcome. I think Ms. Gardner has been in the district. She knows the AIP. She knows our demographic. She has what I recently articulated in our principal search committee that I expect of employees in this district as both a parent, a member of the school committee, and as a member of the community, is that anyone in a leadership role in this district not only believes that every child can learn, they have high expectations of parents, students, and teachers, principals, everyone underneath them, and that there is some accountability that is attached to that in order to move our district forward and to provide the best education for our children. And I think Ms. Gardner has shown that to us and has proven that time and time again. Her willingness to step forward when Mr. Nemberko was ill and to take over the principal search committee, she did so very well. People that were involved in those committees spoke highly of how that was done. There were some issues that came up that were not easily handled, and were handled well and very professionally, and were communicated to the school committee in a way that I think was not only appropriate, but was very professional. I think moving forward, our school district is in good hands. Is this the ideal that everyone wanted? Maybe not. Maybe this is exactly where we're supposed to be, and I believe completely that Ms. Gardner is not only qualified, and despite what the pool of interims, superintendents, whatever looks like, I think she is the best candidate that there is to be had, and I think we are in a really good position moving forward into next year. And I thank you for your willingness. I know that it is not typical for a superintendent to accept a one-year position, and I thank you for indulging us all in that and allowing us to evaluate your progress moving forward in the year to see if this is the right fit for our kids, if we are moving into a successful place. And so I thank you for that, and I thank you for the commitment that you've shown to this district, the work ethic, and I think most importantly, the integrity that you've shown in your honesty and not necessarily saying what everybody's wanted to hear, but what the truth has been, and sometimes that's been hard to swallow. And despite that, I appreciate that quality of you, and I think that it will serve us well moving forward. So I would like to thank you again.
Thank you.
If everybody's through, I just would like to say a few words as well. I think the previous speakers have articulated my position too. I do know that Ms. Gardner was invited to apply for the superintendent position in other districts. It speaks well to how she is viewed among her peers on a statewide level. And personally, I would like to say also that my experience with Ms. Gardner has been that she has been very forthcoming, very hardworking, very impressed, and thank you for the work that you've done on this, in this district. The number one concern that I have heard in, I don't even know how many years, but I'll just go back to even when I was running for this position. The number one concern was regarding, and this concern was universal among students, parents, staff, community members, and it had to do with leadership turnover. We have a unique opportunity to keep the ship, use the sail analogy, keep the ship rowing in a positive, good direction. I think personally it would be irresponsible to start anew at this point in time. This is both a logical and efficient decision for the school district. It will save time, it will save money, it will save anxiety among staff and among the school committee and everybody involved. And so I'm personally sorry that in a sense that there was not a process so that more people couldn't see you and be exposed to you and your ideas and your demeanor and all that that constitutes. But we are in a time-sensitive situation, and I do believe this is the best resolution for the district. If there's no other comments, we need a roll call vote on the motion to appoint Patricia Gardner, Superintendent of Southbridge Public Schools, effective July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015, subject to successful contract negotiation. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Quinney?
Yes.
Mr. Olivo?
Abstain.
Mrs. Congdon?
Yes.
Mrs. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstention.
Thank you. The motion carries. Congratulations to you. The superintendent would like to speak.
First, I want to compliment the school committee for taking bold action in appointing Ms. Gardner as superintendent. And the reason I say that is that the naysayers out there were hoping that you would have a search committee so you could create more controversy, more tumult, more chaos in the school system. And then you would be accused of not having the bravery to be leaders and making difficult choices. So I needed to say that because it's important, and you'll always be accused of not following a process, and so there's no state regulation, law, or so on. It's the school committee's prerogative to appoint a superintendent. I think you made the best possible choice, even if you had a process and a search. I've been doing this job for decades now, and I've been in Massachusetts for almost 20 years, and I know what's out there. And I was fortunate when Ms. Gardner applied for the position. I quickly recognized her abilities, her strengths, her character, and her leadership. And that's been exemplified in the very difficult year we've had here. I had no intentions of getting sick, and while I was out, she filled in admirably. And I think that the goal of this school system, when I came, was to create stability. And out of chaos, we were able to do that last year. We have a budget that passed. I was proud to say at the subcommittee meeting with the town that Southbridge Public Schools will not lay off anyone for financial reasons this year, whereas many communities around us are going through severe financial crises. We have put into place many programs that will move this district forward and out of level 4 status. It took experienced leadership. I made many difficult decisions, and I would have been devastated had you voted to open up a search and create opportunities for people to sit in the back of the room and say, wow, this is great. We'll have someone new come in and we'll have to be accountable for anything again. And we can have another couple of years we can blame the school committee and so on for all of that. So this is the wisest choice, and I'm proud of the fact that Ms. Gardner will be able to carry on the work so many people have worked so hard to accomplish in this district. Like I said, we've straightened out the infrastructure. Without infrastructure, you can't move forward. We've fixed the budget so we're not freezing things, and people don't even know how much they have. And every time I peel an onion, I find other things. We're still working on issues that have been going on for years here. I mean, we're subsidizing food service programs for non-public entities and things of that particular nature. So what I expect, and I think Ms. Congdon's first question was your goals for the Southbridge Public School System is kids first. And I want to be kids first, not adults. Work to move us out of level 4. And I think that can be done much quicker than people have envisioned. And that, and I've said this numerous times, is that, and I think you recognize that the quality of the schools in Southbridge will allow Southbridge to be a successful community. Education in this country is by zip code. And you have over $2 million going out of this district. We've heard the band play, we've added more music programs, we've added additional staff members, we've enhanced the athletic program. All of these things is to keep the kids in Southbridge and keep the families in Southbridge. The people who can vote with their feet, when they all vote out, you'll have only the people that can't. And then you'll have truly a low-performing district. And as was said before, she has a commitment to this school system. She said, I'm going to be here for a while. The principals were selected are also going to be here for a while. So you're going to have a consistency of leadership that you haven't had for decades. So I think that a brave choice, sure, you'll be criticized tomorrow by people sitting in their basements typing into things and so on. So, but that's the price of leadership. And I just want to, again, compliment, and I look forward to Ms. Gardner's success here, and that I can sit back and say, yeah, I had a small part in moving Southbridge forward and upward. There's no reason for Southbridge to be level 4. And one thing and I said before, I can guarantee the test scores will improve this year, because we paid attention to them. No other reason than that. We paid careful attention to administration of the MCAS, and this is what the state evaluates us on, and communities and parents evaluate us on, is what are the scores of that town, what level are they, et cetera. So we have to pay attention to that. So I just want to stop right there and just congratulate and Ms. Gardner, and I will do everything I can to ensure that she is successful. And if she is successful, Southbridge Public Schools will be successful. The Southbridge Public Schools are successful, the town of Southbridge will be successful. Just follows in that progression. So thank you, and
I don't know if you want to come up and
Thank you.
shake hands.
Congratulations.